But now it's a question of that second boss, whether you can actually skip the final guessing game. And here we go. We actually do have the Moonkin from Echo as well.
Echo
so
had to swap it up.
They are going to be playing the exact same comp here. They couldn't find a way to make Death Knight or Windwalker better than Moonkin in this dungeon. And so we have Frag on the Moonkin, something we rarely see. Both teams going with some very large pull here to start.
What? Can you pronounce his name for us, Stratnos?
Oh no, Curry down for Piami already. That is not good news. A death right on the board early in the dungeon. That's bad for multiple reasons. It's going to cost him the 5 seconds, and now we're going to have to wait for him to do another 5 or 10 seconds of running back. Those sorts of slivers of time, it's unlikely you can afford even one, and especially more than one, against Echo ever.
I do think that the advantage here, though, is that this death that was incurred by Curry was... I would chalk this up as like just a 5-second penalty. It doesn't seem like it's going to cost them anymore. It's just Curry running back while the rest of the group is getting ready to pull these bow breakers. But Echo starting to pull ahead just by a few seconds, just due to the fact that they were able to click the gate a little bit quicker, get those bow breakers pulled just slightly faster. And Piami and Echo, very similar spot in the dungeon. Now you see engaging the Soul Cleavers, which are fairly dangerous, but on Necrotic and Bolstering, they need to make sure that they get down the bow breakers a little bit lower in HP before pulling it into the rest of the trash, because they don't want to stack up Bolstering. Now sitting at 40 stacks in Necrotic right now and dropping so incredibly low. Okay.
Wow. Well, yeah, Necrotic so scary there. He was underneath 20% HP for a very long time, but Boomkins, of course, do get to bring the force of nature, right? The trees that can taunt for your tank and provide them usually about 10 seconds of protection, basically, from enemies. And that's really, really good. I mean, any dungeon is valuable, but especially on Necrotic. And you can see Echo actually about a half a Pride now, maybe even 2/3 ahead of where Piami are. Both teams working on those manifestations of Pride, and then they will be going into the boss, and we'll get to see the first Ashen Hallows of the dungeon here. It is a 4-minute cooldown, so you can count from when it comes out until they're going to get the next one, and that is going to be a big point of timing throughout the dungeon. We expect there will probably be 3 Ashen Hallows, 1 per section of the dungeon, maybe the second used in the maze rather than on the boss. But here's that first one coming out from Azalea right now. It's going to be representing a large amount of damage and a notable amount of healing as well. It takes a lot of pressure off. You know, you get all these extra globals to do more damage because all the healing is done incidentally by your Ashen Hallow being down. And it lasts for 30 seconds as well. So it's going to stay for the entirety of the burn phase that you can see Echo doing right now. And even though this is a Tyrannical boss, Ingram Malik here is just entirely dead without any trouble whatsoever. And Zalia just blasting the boss.
Yeah. Also interesting to note, I do think the Holy Paladins also end up running that Hammer of Wrath legendary, and basically whenever they press Hammer of Wrath, it extends the duration of Crusade, or Avenging Crusader, right? And so that's actually a pretty big deal in terms of like throughput as well. It won't be the biggest. It's not an insane healing throughput game, but it definitely is something that is valuable whenever you are a Venthyr Holy Paladin.
Yeah, I mean, that legendary also just increases the damage of the Hammer of Wrath, right? And that's just a huge source of their damage in those cooldowns. So, I mean, yeah, the build for damage on the Holy Paladins is incredibly, incredibly strong. And then the challenge becomes, you know, keeping your tank and your group alive through these massive pulls, even while you're built for damage. And that is something that is incredibly impressive, that the teams are able to do that so reliably.
Yeah. On top of that, you also have things such as like the Shadow Priest playing Surrender to Madness. That's one of those things that Surrender to Madness is definitely the best talent on that row, on the tier 50 row, but it's really hard to play. But in an MDI scenario, you know basically when you basically know at all times like when the mob should be dying. So you have those Surrender to Madness timings absolutely to a T. And it's going to show with the Void form uptime that is achieved by both Miraz and Curry.
Yeah, it's definitely a nice thing to see, actually, these specs that these players are able to deploy here. And I think that's something about Echo as well, is that, you know, if you have Echo switching 3 of their players to specs they don't play very much, that they haven't played in previous Cup weekends, they just look so good on those specs. Even if they're like their 8th or 9th best spec, right? Like Fragnance's 8th or 9th best spec is just so world class, and can compete with anybody else in the world on that spec as well. And that's such a scary thing about Echo in these tournaments, is there's not, like, we've talked about how some teams, there's these difficulties in finding ways to get everybody to switch to specs, and Echo will basically never have that problem. They basically can just tell anybody to play anything, and it will work out just fine. As you can see, actually, a good job here by PIME of keeping things relatively close. In fact, actually closing the gap perhaps a little bit here. And I think they've skipped that. Oh, no, they're bringing it in.
They didn't skip it. They're just letting it stack up. And okay, so that actually helps them, I think, kind of narrow the gap a little bit. So Echo started to like widen the gap at the very beginning with like the gate stuff and getting those bow breakers pulled a little bit. And I would say that the time that was achieved from that has been kind of consistent through the dungeon. PIME, with how they pulled that trash pack, as they knew that was going to be the thing that slows them down the most, and like getting the pride in later, that's going to help them catch up a little bit. Because you could see at the bottom, there was a 20-second differential from the first boss split between the two teams.
Yeah, both teams now on this mini boss here, the plant Hydra. And they're both pulling some enemies through the wall here as well. Something you can do in a couple spots in the maze that gets you a little bit extra count, and it means that you avoid these kind of inefficient fighting things by themselves moments. So you can see Echo finishing off that pull and then scooting through the next little bit of the maze as well. There's a brief bit before you get in combat with the Pride, and you can use that to open the door and then go and bring the Pride into the next room.
Yeah, got to be really careful for bolstering, though. Bolstering here, especially whenever you're pulling trash through the walls into the mini-boss, if there's any mismatch in HP, that will definitely be amplified even further. But both PIME and Echo do a great job of getting the mini-boss down, like right as the rest of the trash ends up dying. And now PIME doing the exact same thing that we saw earlier, where they just don't engage the Pride, they immediately engage the trash pack. You see Dr. J actually doing an AoE combustion on the trash pack, as opposed to dumping any damage into the Pride, where Echo was taking it a little bit slower, where they would like DPS down the Pride to 50% before pulling the trash pack. There's advantages. There's definitely like a safety advantage from Echo's strategy, but PIME, they're behind, but they're trying to claw their way back as best they can.
Echo engaging Mistcaller now. There's the second Ashen Hallow of the dungeon coming out from Zalia. PIME also running on into the room there. You can see they're going to be pulling the boss as well. Looks like Wings was used by Igloo on the trash pull rather than perhaps here on the boss. Whereas on Echo, they've saved that for the boss. So that's a little bit of a difference in the strategy as well. That's let PIME close a little bit of the gap in terms of getting to the boss, but they're going to have a little bit less boss damage relative to Echo, where you can see Zalia just destroying the meters here.
Yeah, I mean, Igloo is going to have his damage available to him shortly. I think that this is one of those things that it's a 4-minute CD. They're probably only going to get one more in the rest of the instance as long as they use it within a reasonable amount of time. So I think that Igloo can fire it off at virtually any point in this boss. It doesn't really matter too terribly much as long as it's like before, because like the dungeon is, what is it, 14 minutes, right? It's like right at 14 minutes. So as long as he's able to fire it off before 9:30,
kind of like 9 minutes. Yeah,
9:30. Yeah, he should be fine to be able to get another one in the dungeon.
Yeah, it's definitely a tricky challenge to juggle your timings, especially as you keep practicing the dungeon and you get faster, and then you learn like, this has knock-on effects back towards my earlier cooldown timings.
This is going to be the big point where PIME is going to be able to catch up, or maybe Echo is even... Even Echo can just like widen the gap on their lead, potentially, depending on what's about to happen on the right side screen. So looking at their Mistcaller, they're going to get the final guessing game at 10%. You see that Volfin on the side is hibernated.
Yeah, here
now
goes.
You do have Frag popping his CDs, trying to make sure... Oh, they're actually not even able to burn the boss all the way through.
I thought I saw a Convoke get cast and then like canceled there.
Did he cancel it?
I'm not 100% sure,
So since Convoke is a channel... There is a chance that he canceled it with an on-use trinket. You can't macro on-use trinkets into Convoke, otherwise they'll bug out occasionally and just cancel it since it's a channel.
Wow.
Okay, but neither group gets Mistcaller down, unfortunately. But that would have been an absolutely massive time save, and PIV would have been at the exact same point that Echo is now. But now Echo downing Mistcaller early, continuing to maintain that just few second lead. And let's see how close these teams are going to be in terms of splits. Okay, so it looks like PIME was able to slightly narrow the gap, cutting 3 seconds off of their boss 2 split, but they're still an order of 15 seconds behind right now.
Yeah, and that is just the first death going for them there. There's also the 5 seconds of death differential between the teams that'll be assessed at the end here. So 20 total seconds that Piami are going to have to find. And even though they've been going slightly faster through the dungeon, there's not enough time left, right? They need more than slightly faster from this point. They're going to need a pull to work out particularly incredibly for them, or particularly badly for Echo, or they're going to have just some kind of incredible deployment of their damage. And it's so tough to have things go much better for you than they go for Echo, as Echo have made that pack look so easy and have already started now on their 80% pride. Piami working on a similarly sized pack. You can see Dr. J getting bounced around there. A lot of damage coming out. They need to be very careful with this.
Yeah, I think right now they're taking a really long time to be able to finish off this trash pack on the side of Piami.
Look at the bolsters.
Okay, I think they're going to be fine with their bolstering, but Echo has already finished off their 80% pride, Dratnos, and has more count.
Yeah, Echo is in a commanding position at this point. Not enough that they can have like anything go wrong.
Yes,
but enough that if they can avoid having any deaths and avoid any like truly disastrous inefficiencies, they are now, I think, something on the order of 30 seconds in the lead from here. So and the dungeon has one pull and one boss left in it, as you can see. All the ads coming in. Ooh, now under a lot of pressure, Miraz fires off the Psychic Scream to try and create a little bit of wiggle room for now, but now he's at 40 stacks, and he's found a way to drop stacks. Immediately after the stacks are dropped, the lay on hands comes out from Zalia.
The trees.
The trees really relieving the pressure off of now. Like you said, I mean, huge Moonkin utility in a very, very dangerous moment there otherwise. Piami now also doing the same one. Yeah, so Piami have to execute this pull perfectly. I mean, really, the Echo here in they're such a good spot. They've already started with this boss. They're going to have their Bloodlust up in about 30 seconds, and Zalia will be having that Ashen Hallow in something like a minute, somewhere like that. Somewhere actually, something very soon. I think probably with his wings here, when they get that Bloodlust, he'll be able to deploy all of that damage. So
yeah, I think he's just holding it.
It's going to be massive. Yeah. And they're going to deploy so much burst here. You can see Zalia doing a respectable 2k right now. Will soon be ascending the damage meters, potentially with the help of Power Infusion and Bloodlust. You can see the boss in one of those channel phases. They're actually not going to kick it. They're going to decide to just, eventually kick it. But they left it channeling for a little bit there. It's an interesting decision because the longer it channels, the more often it's like not summoning ads and not doing any other mechanics. But it's a lot of damage out on your group. As you can see now, with Lust available for Echo, they'll be pulling the trigger on that any minute now. They just gotta, they know that they're gonna get one less, so as long as they press it at some point in the next 10 seconds or so, and there it comes out for Echo, they're gonna get full efficiency out of it. And everybody now will hopefully get all their cooldowns in there. Zalia fires off the Ashen Hallow and the wings, and will be rapidly climbing those damage meters. Right now, he's in 5th place. Let's see if he can take Frag for 4th. Now in 2nd place on damage meters right now.
He hasn't fought the season yet. Leave him alone.
Zalia now up to the 2nd place position. Oh, Frag with the moon and the Convoke, though. Jumps into the lead on the damage meters as Tredova is falling so fast for Echo. It's really close for Piami as well. They have done huge damage here, actually higher damage on this boss than Echo. They close the gap a little bit towards the end, but Echo have killed the boss first. They do need to get the last bit of count to end this dungeon, though. Yeah. So you can see they're going to pull a bunch of trash, and as soon as they can kill like 2 of these mobs, they will be hitting their 100% threshold, and that will be Echo taking game 1 in the series. Wow, look at that. 13 minutes, 44 seconds. Woo!